Union. Let's discuss that particular issue with Colonel Richard Kemp, who joins me from Ipswich. He's a former British Army commander, of course. Good afternoon to you. That is the argument from President Obama. Is there any truth in that, do you feel, in relation to terrorism?
Well, I think President Obama's opinion is always welcome. America is a great friend of the UK and has been for many, many years, and I hope always will be. But I don't think President Obama is the right person to be advising us on what's in our interest in security or what isn't. His policies in the Middle East, for example, have been catastrophic and have caused, for example, Iranian aggression as a result of the deal he struck with Iran. So I don't think he is the right person. And what he says actually is diametrically opposite to the reality. Staying in the EU is going to be worse for our national security and for international security than getting out. The reality is if we leave, we as a country and our contribution to global security will be enhanced.
But isn't the key element to tackling terrorism, there are many strands of course, but the key element is intelligence sharing, isn't it? Now, shouldn't that and couldn't that go on irrespective of any situation? I mean, countries who feel vulnerable should be sharing intelligence all the time, shouldn't they?
Absolutely right. Very good point. And interestingly enough, our closest and strongest intelligence partner is the United States of America, which of course is not in the EU. We do have intelligence relationships with all EU countries, but not through the EU. All intelligence relationships, because of the sensitivity of intelligence, the need to protect it, are bilateral, and in my view, always will be. There is some pooling of intelligence at EU, but it's low-level material which would go on anyway. But our bilateral relations with, for example, France, Germany, Belgium, other countries in the EU would not change if we left, whether we left or not. They've always been strong, they always will be.
Well, so you think it would make no difference at all, that it wouldn't affect intelligence sharing, because one of the points, the broader points that President Obama is making, is about influence. It's about Britain's place in the world, quite bluntly, and his point is that as a nation we stand taller, we have greater influence if we are within this grouping than if we are without.
I disagree with that as well. I think we're a permanent member of the UN Security Council, even though many EU countries would like to deprive us of that and give that status to the EU itself. That's where our main global influence lies, as well as in our historic past. But in fact, the problem that we have, one of the problems we face, is that by being in the EU, our borders are open to all EU citizens. The head of Europol recently said that 5,000 European citizens have returned from fighting with Islamic State. Now, with very few exceptions, all of those have a right to travel to and settle in the UK. We can't do anything about that. We've got our own problem with Islamic extremists who've come back from the US, from Syria and Iraq. But we don't have to accept the nearly 5,000 others from elsewhere in the EU. But while we're members of the EU, we do have to accept them.
All right, Colonel Richard Kemp, thank you very much for your thoughts.
Big Man Tyrone here. Make sure to subscribe to the wicked awesome Robin Hood UKIP YouTube website. He exposes the leftist crops on the British brainwashing corporation. Nice.